Up, residents in a trailer park in DeWitt are fighting to stay in their homes. CitrusTV reporter Taylor Lang explains why the town thinks moving might be the best option.
Fights break out at MSU as white supremacists speak on campus. Over 24 arrests amid protests that turn violent. We'll have full coverage of the aftermath.
And it's win or go home tonight for SU basketball, a big game for Syracuse's tournament hopes as the team heads to Brooklyn to play Wake Forest. Citrus TV is there live with full coverage of the game. Your news starts right now.
This is Citrus TV News live at 6, your campus news leader.
We start tonight with some breaking news. Utica police have made an arrest from yesterday's lockdown. Good evening, I'm Gilat Melamed.
And I'm Sabrina Maggiore. Utica College was on lockdown for hours yesterday for an unknown threat. Police are giving a press conference right now detailing what went on and who was arrested.
And County Executive Joni Mahoney is in the Civic Center right now giving her State of the County address about the county's education policy. Here with more on what Mahoney is highlighting is CitrusTV reporter Nicole DeMentri. Nicole?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I know the State of the County address is still going on right now, but she did mention a few things thus far. Things did start a little bit later at the Civic Center, but she did touch on how the county was doing fiscally and both education-wise.
And what do you think is the most important thing that's come out of what Joni Mahoney has said so far?
So, you know, she mentioned she's been in power or has been in her position for 10 years. So she really did highlight a lot of different things she's done over her 10 years, including her education rate. She said when she took office, the graduation rate was only at 47%. Now it's all the way past 60%, so a huge improvement there. She also mentioned fiscally that the county is healthy and strong, a direct quote from her, after going through a fiscal stress test, that things were totally fine and that they were the #1 big county for not having any fiscal stress.
All right, Nicole, thank you so much.
Thank you.
MSNBC political analyst and host of AM Joy, Joyanne Reed, will speak at Hendricks Chapel this April. Reed is a columnist for the Daily Beast and also teaches the Newhouse School course, Race, Gender, and Media at SU's Fisher Center in Manhattan. Reed is the next speaker in line for Syracuse University's series of university lectures. An update on yesterday's story about a possible threat to Baker High School. Baldwinsville police say that no threat was ever even made. Misinformation on social media led to reports of a threat made on the high school, but there was never an actual threat. Police say they are still treating the situation very seriously, just in case.
And a new brewery recently opened in Syracuse that provides more options for consumers. Citrus TV reporter Amber McElrath found out how this company will impact the local community.
Certain consumers are feeling left out of the alcohol market. The brew industry provides limited options for people with gluten allergies.
We realized there was a hole in the market where people who enjoy those types of flavor profiles and the other qualities of like wines and liquors, such as them meeting their dietary restrictions, felt left out of the craft brew industry.
New solutions to this problem are being introduced in the Syracuse area. A brewing company called Anything But Beer recently opened with goals to fill this gap in the alcohol market.
We're essentially inventing a new category of alcoholic beverages and serving things that haven't been served like this in different ways, different temperatures, different flavor profiles.
Drinking is supposed to be a social experience and no one deserves to be excluded. This up-and-coming market provides consumers with a variety of options, so those who don't like beer or can't drink it are still able to go out.
We'd like to provide, additional options at breweries, so like brew tours and things can also include those with gluten-free diets and who dislike the taste of beer.
Consumers without gluten allergies also seem to be satisfied with the options that the new brew market will provide.
I personally just really like the fact that I can go in and try a lot of different flavors that you can't get unless you're, looking at wines or something else.
Anything But Beer is also hoping to become vegan and cater to those with other serious allergies. Hopefully other companies will follow suit and continue to open up the market for consumers, especially those with gluten allergies. Amber McElrath, Citrus TV News.
An arrest was made in the murder of 18-year-old Dequarius Powell on Syracuse's east side. 20-year-old Zakai Savory was arrested yesterday and charged with Powell's murder. A woman notified the police when Powell was found fatally shot in the driveway of a home on East Fayette Street. Investigations are still underway, but it's believed that this shooting followed some sort of dispute. This marks the first Syracuse homicide of 2018. As the jury in the New York corruption trial struggles to reach a verdict, 3 jurors are asking to be excused. In notes to the judge, jurors said that the length of the trial is causing problems for their work and personal lives.
Meanwhile, the defense motioned for a mistrial, which the judge ultimately denied. The judge said that the jury must continue and that they haven't deliberated for a long enough time to warrant a mistrial. And lack of heat at a local nursing home is leaving some elderly residents shivering. For the past 2 weeks, the Venzon Center has been experiencing heating problems. Nursing homes are required to have a temperature of at least 75 degrees, but many of the residents' rooms have measured around 66 degrees. The health department has suggested offering hot beverages and blankets until the issue is resolved.
The residents at Midler Meadows Trailer Park in DeWitt are on fixed incomes, making it hard for them to spend the money to fix hundreds of violations. CitrusTV reporter Taylor Lang tells us how the town says their best option might be to move out.
I don't have the money to move.
Midler Meadows is a trailer park in the town of DeWitt. The residents living there have a combined total of more than 100 code violations. These include lack of upkeep, siding problems, and overflowing trash. The DeWitt Director of Zoning and Planning says this makes the trailers unsuitable to live in.
The trailers are not in great shape, so it's hard to find people who are willing to live in those conditions.
Stivers says residents are doing all they can to make the park a better place to live. DeWitt officials are looking to give every individual a chance to have suitable living conditions, even if this means moving out.
That may in the end be the best thing for them because they may be able to find a better housing option.
Each of these mailboxes here behind me represents a trailer here at the Midler Meadows Trailer Park. And while the town says it might just be best for them to move out, they say they have nowhere to go.
These people, a lot of them are on a fixed income.
Gordon believes the conditions of the park might be so bad that at this point, residents and landlords can't do anything to fix it. He says location plays a part.
Usually you don't have housing in an industrial area. So, it might be that the best thing long-term is that it transitions to an industrial property.
Stivers believes the reason the industrial area is pushing the town to get rid of their trailer park is because it doesn't fit in.
They don't want it here. They want to build something else on this property.
Stivers says the trailer park is a great place to live, and they are all trying their best to stay in their homes. Taylor Lang, CitrusTV News.
Town of DeWitt is now notified anytime the police are called to Midler Meadows. This helps officials locate code violations by going inside individual trailers. The town hopes this helps residents clean up the park piece by piece.
And SUNY ESF will host a panel tonight regarding the toxic algae blooms affecting New York lakes. This is the second of 4 summits that New York State created to address this problem. The panel will include 8 researchers from across the country, including right here in central New York. New York State has pledged to spend $65 million towards solving the algal bloom issue. And the Students' Olympics are coming back to Lake Placid. The upstate town has been chosen to host the 2023 Winter World University Games. The 11-day competition brings in roughly 2,500 student athletes each time it's held. Lake Placid is no stranger to these types of competitions. They've hosted the Olympic Games twice, most recently in 1980.
Internally, NYPD files show that hundreds of officers got to keep their jobs despite serious offenses. A BuzzFeed investigation reports that over 300 cops committed fireable offenses, such as lying under oath and physically attacking innocent people. One officer still has his job after sexually harassing another New York officer. Former NYPD commissioners in charge of the department at this time have yet to comment on the report. Seneca Niagara Resort and Casino is trying to break a world record for love. The resort wants to create the largest marriage vow renewal. The current record just tops 1,000 couples, and they will try to break that record this June. Couples interested in being part of the new world record can register for the event on the casino's website. And Sabrina, it was pretty warm today, actually. So warm that, the snow is starting to melt everywhere. I felt like I was walking in puddles all day.
I've heard that that's not going to stick around, but, we have reporter Anna Azallion here in studio to tell us more about the weather. Anna?
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I walked outside this morning. The sun was shining. It looked like some of that snow we got last week was melting. I even wore Converse instead of my snow boots. It was pretty nice. We saw a high around 45 degrees, a low in the low 30s. There was a light wind like there usually is here on campus, making it a little chillier than it really was. And moving on, current conditions, we're seeing temperatures in the low 40s. Feels like about 39 because of that light wind, but like Sabrina and Gilat said, it's not really going to stick around, and I'll tell you more about that in my full weather forecast later on in the show.
9 days, the West Virginia strike is finally over. Find out what happened to bring teachers back into schools.
And peace talks between the U.S. and North Korea? Is it really possible? Don't go anywhere.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where the cats go on vacation? New York.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. You're gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. So wet.
We have some breaking news. Trump's senior economic advisor is resigning.
That's right. Gary Cohn is leaving the White House after months of disagreements with the president. Most recently, the two argued over steep tariffs that Trump wanted to import. Reports said that Cohn would resign if Trump went through with them.
Cohn's resignation may be a signal that Trump will follow through with the tariffs. We'll have more as it becomes available.
And West Virginia public schools will reopen after legislators agreed on a teacher's compensation deal.
They join all other government employees who will receive a 5% pay raise. Including today, teachers across the state were on strike for a total of 9 days.
A report of average teacher salaries in 2016 showed pay for West Virginia teachers ranks among the lowest in the country at 48th.
The Florida State Senate narrowly passed new gun legislation that would raise the minimum age to purchase a firearm from 18 to 21. The bill also includes a ban on bump fire stocks, which allows semi-automatic firearms to fire faster.
The Parkland school shooter was 18 when he brought his AR-15. The new legislation needs approval from the State House of Representatives and Governor Rick Scott.
Washington State is pushing back against the FCC's lift on Obama-era net neutrality regulations by passing its own rules.
Washington's law is the first among U.S. states to enact its own regulations. The law prevents internet service providers from barring its customers from seeing certain content.
In December, the FCC voted to remove regulations that kept internet service providers from treating all websites equally. The lift is scheduled to go into effect later this month.
Conflict arises at Michigan State University as white nationalist Richard Spencer prepared to give a speech on Monday afternoon. Protesters surrounded the venue shouting, "Nazis, go home."
Violence broke out between protesters and white supremacists, delaying the start of the speech. At least 100 officers appeared on the scene armed in riot gear and tear gas.
Over 24 arrests were made Monday evening.
A new report says White House aide Kellyanne Conway violated the Hatch Act back in December.
The Office of the Special Counsel says Conway violated the act by advocating for and against candidates in Alabama's special Senate elections. OSC officials allege Conway used her position to deliver unfavorable political views about then Democratic candidate Doug Jones.
Conway went on cable news shows to stump for Roy Moore, which the Hatch Act made illegal for aides to do.
And an investigation is now underway after 39 Russian military personnel were killed in a plane crash in Syria.
Preliminary data suggests a technical malfunction could have caused the crash.
The Russian base in Syria was attacked in December, but the Russian military insists this cargo plane did not come under fire.
North Korea is willing to talk to the U.S. about giving up its nuclear weapons. This development follows unprecedented meetings between the North and the South in Pyongyang.
North Korean officials allegedly say their country has no reason to retain nuclear weapons if the military threat to the North is resolved. This is the first time North Korea has said they'd give up nuclear weapons in return for security guarantees from the U.S.
The North has also agreed to a summit meeting between Kim Jong-un and President Moon Jae-in of South Korea in late April.
A curfew is now in place in Sri Lanka after several attacks against mosques and Muslim-owned businesses.
Police say the curfew was imposed to keep violence from spreading throughout the island nation. The country has also declared a state of emergency.
Police are preparing for even more protests after a young Muslim man's body was found in a burnt-out building this morning. After the break, what is causing these starfish to wash up on beaches? Weather reporter Anna Azallion has the answer.
As the NFL Combine continues, one team is fighting back against kneeling protests. Politics could play a role in the next draft for one franchise. Stay tuned.
Let's go. Let's march. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Taking care of a family member can lead to plenty of questions. Fortunately, there's a place to get the answers, for them and for you. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
From the CitrusTV Weather Center, this is SU's most accurate weather forecast.
Welcome back to Citrus TV News. Looking at the temperatures in the area, we're seeing 42 degrees in Syracuse and pretty similar temperatures throughout the area. You see 40 degrees up in Fulton, 39 down in Elmira, 39 over in Rochester as well. And then moving on to tonight, that's when the weather is going to change. The nice weather we saw today isn't really going to stick around. Seeing a low in the low 30s and a pretty high chance of rain. That's going to start 7, 8 p.m. And then throughout the night, it's going to switch over to a rain-snow mix and eventually snow. That's not going to stick around. Tomorrow morning, the snow will be done by the time you wake up, but there will be some fresh snow on the ground. And if you're going to the game tonight in Brooklyn, Syracuse is taking on Wake Forest. We're seeing temperatures pretty similar to what we see here in Syracuse, mid-30s, and still you're going to have that rain-snow mix there and a light wind. And then looking at our current radar, you see we don't quite have that rain yet. That's going to be later tonight, but it is moving in from Pennsylvania, and that's when the rain is going to start, and then, like I said, it's going to turn into snow. And then when you wake up tomorrow morning, temperatures pretty similar to what we're seeing, mid-30s, a light wind like usual, make it a little chillier than it usually is, so definitely want to grab that coat like you have been for the last couple weeks. And as you go throughout your day, if you have a 9:30 class early, mid-30s, and then when we get to noon, that's when we're going to see our high of 36 degrees, and that's when the snow is going to start again. We're going to see some light snow throughout the day, and the cold weather isn't just affecting us here in New York. Across the pond on a beach in Kent, tons of thousands of starfish washed up to shore. The dead creatures are believed to have ended up on the sand because of extreme weather changes. Fish, sea urchins, and lobster also washed ashore. A 47-year-old woman was on the beach at the time and tried to save as many of the sea animals as she could. Videos and pictures were taken to capture the rare sight.
Thanks, Anna. France is planning to make the legal age of consent 15 years old. The change was brought on by an uproar over 2 cases of men accused of having sex with 11-year-old girls. The French government is planning to approve the new age of consent and other laws to combat sexual violence in the weeks to come. Currently, the country does not have a law saying a child under a particular age is not allowed to consent to sex. And more backlash from the kneeling protest that swept the NFL last year. A new report says that Houston Texans will not sign any players that kneel during the games.
The commonplace demonstration became a form of protesting police brutality and racial inequality. After a 4-12 finish this season, many consider the Texans desperate for new talent, but that pool of potential signees will be more specific this year.
Tonight in Brooklyn. We'll go live from Barclays Center on what to expect in Syracuse's big ACC tournament matchup with Wake Forest. All that and more right after the break.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
And now, your CitrusTV Sports Report.
Welcome back. I'm Chris Venzon. Today offers a very important opportunity for Syracuse basketball. The Orange has a chance to win its first conference tournament game since Cuse moved to the ACC in 2013. In Syracuse's way stands Wake Forest, a team SU has already played twice this season. The Orange came away with 1 win and 1 loss between those contests, but with one key difference in each game. Syracuse's 2 guards, Tyus Battle and Frank Howard, combined for 35-plus points in both matchups. But in their game that SU won, the pair nailed 62% of their 3-point attempts. In the games Cuse lost, the duo combined for just 40% from downtown. So you probably can imagine what type of performance Jim Boeheim wants out of his backcourt this evening, and he said as much after the Clemson win. Take a listen.
It was just one of those games where we struggle. When our guards struggle like that to shoot, it's hard for us to win. 5 for 20, 4 for 14. It's very hard for us to win. We're about as challenged offensively as you can be.
So Syracuse needs a stellar performance from its guards tonight to be successful. Right now we're joined by CitrusTV basketball reporter Christian Guzman live from Barclays Center. Christian, you've covered this team all season. How do you expect Tyus Battle and Frank Howard to perform tonight?
Well, Chris, I expect Tyus Battle and Frank Howard to have a good game offensively. It's really defensively to see whether this team can really succeed against Wake Forest. Brian Crawford, Mitchell Wilbekin, really 2 of many 3-point shooters that this Wake Forest team has. Wake Forest shoots 45% against Syracuse this year from the 3-point range. So really, can Tyus Battle and Frank Howard step up defensively is going to be the key to this game. And really, if Syracuse can pull out a victory against the Demon Deacons.
Yeah, this team, both of these teams, very familiar with each other. They've seen each other 3 times this year. Tell us something that fans don't know about the Demon Deacons.
Chris, take a look at Darrell Moore. Darrell Moore had 16 points and 16 rebounds back on February 11th when Syracuse played Wake Forest. It was a 78-70 win for Syracuse, but seriously, it's a big mismatch with Pascal Chiku, who's not that strong. Even though he had an okay game defensively last time out against Clemson, Ram Sidibé still having knee troubles. Darrell Moore could really be a key factor for Wake Forest's success in this game against Syracuse.
Okay, Christian, so Syracuse has won 5 out of its 6 matchups against Wake since it moved into the ACC. Can the Orange make it 6 out of 7? What's your prediction?
Well, I got Syracuse eking it out just close. I'm going 65-63 Syracuse because I think Syracuse has a lot of momentum on its side. After that very big Clemson win 55-52 back in the Carrier Dome on Saturday, I think Syracuse is riding a lot of momentum. And I think those role players like Marek Dolajai, Matthew Moore eventually step up and drive the Syracuse team to victory, other than the already great production that you get from O'Shea Brissett, Frank Howard, and Tyus Battle. Syracuse should win this game, but I think it's going to be close and low scoring.
Christian, thank you so much for your time today. Enjoy the game, my friend. Have a great one. All right, so let's moving on into the professional basketball. The Knicks' 4-game West Coast trip comes to a conclusion tonight in Portland against the Trailblazers. And New York probably can't wait to get back to the Big Apple. The Knicks have lost their past 3 games by an average of 16 points. And that's pushed their record to 16 games below 500. The Blazers, meanwhile, are in quite the opposite position, riding a 7-game win streak entering tonight. If New York wants to reverse its fortune, a lot of attention should be paid to Portland's Damian Lillard. The Trailblazers point guard dropped 39 points last night in a victory against the Lakers. Tip-off is set for 10 o'clock on the East Coast.
All right, thanks so much, Chris. We'll be right back.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent. We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness. I am a witness. I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Come on, it's not that hard.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
We have new updates on the Utica College incident that occurred yesterday, sending the campus into a lockdown.
Police have announced that they have arrested 23-year-old Farudian Omarovic. He is charged with making a terroristic threat.
Authorities say that he used a Void app to mask his voice during the phone threat. We'll have more details for you on our website. And that's all the time we have for today. Keep up with us on Twitter and on our website at CitrusTV.com.
If there's something you want to see us cover, message us on Twitter at CitrusTV. For all of us here at Citrus TV News, I'm Gilat Melamed.
And I'm Sabrina Maggiore. Have a great night, Syracuse.